to be politically oriented? Do you want a platform where you get updated with socio-political issues? Then Vigilance is the right place for you. Join Falashadi Adebi every Fridays 4 p.m. WAT to discuss socio-political issues in society. Hello, listeners. Welcome to another episode of Vigilance. This is a podcast where we'll be discussing socio-political issues in society. Join me every Fridays for interesting and enlightening episodes. I am your host, Falashade Adebi. You can follow us for more updates by searching Veegil.com on your web browser, Veegil as in Veegil.com. Veegil.com is a debate platform where users get to interact and discuss issues affecting society. Or you can follow us on our social media platforms on Facebook and Twitter, Veegil Media, LinkedIn, Veegil, and Instagram, Veegil_media. Joining me on the show is Aminat. Welcome to the show.
Thank you, Falashade. Hello, everyone.
Okay, let's do a quick recap on the comment we had on our previous episode, Insecurity in Nigeria, from the Veegil debate platform. So, Aminat, will you please take the first comment?
All right. This comment is from Chilo. She said, "This country is no longer safe for both the rich and poor. The issue of insecurity is a cancerous disease. When the relatives of politicians, Oba, clerics are being kidnapped without any major reprimand, it is obvious we are in for an impending doom."
Interesting comments. Aminat, what are your thoughts on this?
Well, yes, I quite agree with Sheila. And even the politicians are no longer safe themselves.
Okay.
Recently, the governor of Benue State, Samuel Othom, was attacked by Fulani headsmen in Tiomu near Makodi.
Okay.
This goes to tell us that even the so-called elites are themselves no longer safe. And, it's just but a matter of time if this is not addressed before it gets to the presidency.
Oh, okay. Thanks for your comment, Aminat. The next comment I have is from Pretty Minya. She said, "I wait to see what the state of security in Nigeria is like under the new service chiefs. I just hope the service chiefs have a strategic plan and work in unison and not in isolation." Well, with that, we hope the service chiefs collaborate more effectively and efficiently with respect to tackling insecurity. Dear listeners, kindly keep the comments coming and endeavor to share the link with your family, friends, and loved ones. In today's episode, we'll be discussing tackling corruption in Nigeria, sending the right message. So, according to the Corruption Perception Index (CPI) 2020, which was published by Transparency International Corruption Index, indicates that Nigeria occupies the 149th position out of the 180 countries surveyed and also scored 25 out of 100 points. With this current ranking, Nigeria is now the second most corrupt country in West Africa, with Guinea-Bissau being the only country more corrupt than Nigeria in the sub-region. Now let's bear this in mind that the yardstick for measuring corruption by Transparency International Corruption Index is checking each country by the perceived level of public sector corruption. They use a scale of 0 to 100. So the 0 states highly corrupt and the 100 shows very clean. Amina, what are your thoughts on this report? Because this report has definitely put Nigeria in a bad light.
Thank you, Falashade, for the question. The thing is, corruption is a pandemic, that keeps ravaging every sector in Nigeria. And like you rightly mentioned earlier, currently at 149th most corrupt country. I think it's imperative, for us to take a look at previous, rankings by this, by the CPI. 2015, for instance, we were ranked as 136th most corrupt country. 2016, we still maintained that. By 2018, we were in 144.
Okay.
2019, we were at 146.
Mm.
And 2020, here we are, 149.
So it
Most
keeps
corrupt
increasing.
country.
Mm.
So this tells us that in the course of 5 to 6 years,
Okay.
we've actually become more corrupt than we were as far back as 2015. Bear in mind that the Buhari administration came into power in 2015. And one of their major agendas when they were campaigning back then in 2015 was to ensure that they tackle corruption. So now this brings up the question of how are they tackling corruption? If you supposedly are tackling corruption and here we are 149 as compared to 136 when you supposedly started the fight against corruption. You understand? So it's just that for me, I feel the whole noise. I remember 2015 when Buhari was coming to
power. Everyone was like,
some people had
to leave Nigeria,
because they were all scared. Would I be picked up? What would happen? There were so many uncertainties
because of his past, the way he
handled his record when it comes to his integrity and things like that. And then coming to see that actually we are going to be worse off.
You're free to do whatever you want.
It's pathetic, honestly. In fact, as a matter of fact, it is estimated that Nigeria would, lose over 400 billion to corruption.
Since independence. Let me cut it. You made mention of Nigeria losing over 400 billion to corruption since independence. Like, can you explain this further? Can you shed more light on this?
Yeah, as I was saying, the thing is, losing 400 billion, that's such a huge amount if you look at it to corruption. One would wonder, is that report actually correct? But again, when you remember a prominent case of corruption, you understand, which is the late General Sani Abacha's youth.
Yes.
You understand that we keep recovering
every year.
And then you remember back then that there was a report that during his regime, about 2 to 3% of our country's GDP was being looted. When you consider that report and you look at the 400 billion report that we've lost to corruption, you can begin to see the correlation between those figures. You understand? And I think it's pathetic because these are funds that could actually have been used for different, significant things in the society. You understand? It could have been, vaccination for children. You understand? Construction of good roads, portable water for the masses, and so many, projects that would have impacted on the lives of millions of Nigerians. You understand? Then let's go back to, talking about some of these loots of Abacha. In 2008, for instance, $500 million, you understand, was said to have been returned from Swiss bank accounts between 2005 to 2007. $508 million.
And this fund, it keeps enriching those countries.
Still work with me. June 2014, $277 million was returned. In 2018, from Switzerland, a total sum of $1 billion. $1 billion was returned to Nigeria. These same funds from the renowned Abacha loot. May 2020, from a small island in Jersey, the sum of $308 million was returned. That's not all.
Hmm.
UK is set to be returning anytime soon $30 million.
Hmm.
France, $144 million. And still from Jesse, $18 million. The honest truth is, no one even seems to know how much was actually siphoned by the late General Sani Abacha. Now, what is actually a thing of concern for me is if, just if at all, these sums, wherever they are stashed, wherever, be it Switzerland, wherever, really, if they would be tracked someday. Well, and then if this amount, when tracked, would actually be returned to Nigeria.
And when returned, will they actually use the money, the administration
that will be in power then? Whether they will
yes.
use it, that's another bone of contention. Because funny enough is that over the course of these years, these amounts have been returned from the Abacha list, right?
Yes.
And we've had several administrations come and go. And then you keep asking yourself, why are we still here at this current state? We find ourselves in Nigeria.
And Nigeria is currently the capital for extreme poverty.
You understand? And then you begin to ask yourself these questions. The thing is, we've had so many projects for which we've said we want to, channel these funds to. You understand? But unfortunately, when these funds have been, said they'll be set aside for certain projects, we find out that they get re-embezzled. By
it keeps going in circles.
I keep wondering what is going on. How else? When would we get things right in Nigeria? Because each of these administrations, when they hear that if particular amount is going to be returned, whosoever is in charge will come out and address the nation and tell us, oh, we will use it for this. In fact, they will set up committees, they will set up panels,
we don't see
wanting to ensure that these funds are actually used for what they are meant to be used. But guess what? Regardless, it still gets embezzled.
It still keeps going in circles. Well, thanks, Aminat, on the enlightenment. Still on corruption. So, over the past few days, the news of Senator Jan and gang, both representing the Plateau State, they sponsored a bill to grant state pardon to already convicted former governors Dariye and Iyame. So, what do you think of this? Are they sending the right message to Nigerians?
Truth be told, I think it's quite appalling and shocking to find that in 2021, senators would sponsor such a bill in the House. For one to have been, tried, actually prosecuted, they've done the investigations, they've done all of those, and then in a court of competent jurisdiction, they've actually been found guilty, and then, sent to jail. Of course, that tells you something, that that person was actually guilty of that offense, of that crime. You understand? Now, to find senators that should be, addressing the needs of their people, what is pressing to be done in whatever regions they represent, come up and then begin to sponsor state pardon for persons that have allegedly, not even allegedly now because they've been convicted, you understand? For persons that actually misappropriated funds to better the indigents of the state. I think it's not only embarrassing, it's sad to see. that would have things like this go on. And then, the honest truth is, whether we like it or not, these are funds that, because they were misappropriated or embezzled or diverted, whatever context we want to give to it, innocent lives were actually lost. Somehow, directly, indirectly. Do you understand?
Yes.
So, how would families that were faced with things like this, that had to struggle through, that underwent this trauma, how do you think they'll be feeling now, saying that Senators Dang and Yang are
sponsoring such bills?
such a bill?
So they're not really working for the masses. A senator should work for the masses.
Well, yes, they should. That is why they are there, to represent the people. But sponsoring this kind of bill, I think it contradicts that.
So do you think it's self-centered?
Of course it is. Because as we can see, it's obvious that someone like Senator Jan, it's obvious he has a case with EFCC. And he's already trying to walk ahead of time. Perhaps he already knows he will be found guilty, and he's trying to see that, okay, if I can sponsor this kind of deal, if it goes forward, somebody else somewhere too, if I'm convicted, would take will empathize with me and also sponsor something similar for him to, I think that's what it is, as far as I'm concerned, because it's clearly a self-centered scenario for me, because I don't think that of all there is, that the people of Plateau would say that this bill represents what is key to them as of now. I honestly doubt that.
So you are saying that all convicted persons, whether they are the elite or the masses, they should
don't forget that there are some people, that are in prison for several years. They've not even been tried in court. Not talk of being convicted.
We're just arrested
and jailed. Do you understand? Those kind of persons now, these senators are not here sponsoring a bill to tell us, okay, let's look into such cases where people are just picked up on the streets and thrown into prisons for offenses they know not. If that were the case, perhaps we'll be applauding them for speaking,
for speaking out
on such matters. But here you are telling us of someone that's been tried. The worst part is these ex-governors that were convicted. Dari and Nyame, these are persons that of their 10-year jail term, they've spent barely 2 to 3 years.
Do
you understand? And here we are already talking about state power for them. Like, how does it add up? At a time when corruption is still on the rise, we are hoping more people will be tried and actually jailed. So that we can send that right message we want to send. That be you whosoever, should you misappropriate fund or embezzle or divert,
you are not above the law.
Do you understand? You will be tried and actually convicted. And here we are. Of all things to be sponsoring is granting state pardon to people that have tried and no. This is counterproductive. Do you understand? This is not the kind of bill we need in the floor of the house. There are more germane issues to be discussed. Definitely not state pardon to already convicted ex-governors. No, let them still cool off. Perhaps maybe if they are spent maybe 8-9 years, just 2 months to end it, and we are now saying state pardon, maybe, but not at this time when it's still fresh. Let them at least, let them still cool off. Let them still cool off.
So you've heard it, everyone. No one should be granted state pardon based on that. Anyways, let's wait to see the turnout of events on the floor of the National
Honestly,
Assembly.
we all wait to see how the bill tries in the house. I, for one, I hope and I pray, because we love prayers in Nigeria. I hope and I pray that that bill does not get through in the house.
Oh, thank you, Amina, for joining me for today's show.
The pleasure is mine.
Well, sending your contributions, kindly drop your comments in the podcast, or you can participate in the ongoing debate by signing up on Veegil.com and searching Tackling Corruption in Nigeria. Do not forget to share this podcast with your family, your friends, and also your loved ones. Do not forget to follow us on all our social media platforms. Until next time, I remain your host, Olashade Adebi. Bye.
Yeah, bye.